Hello and welcome to the discussion of Act 1 of Hamlet. This is a play by William Shakespeare and is arguably one of the greatest plays to have ever been written or performed. It is a personal favorite of mine and one that I can endlessly reread. And I'm always happy to dive back into. So Act 1 is comprised of 5 different scenes. Each of these scenes does something very specific to set the scene, to help develop this world and the rising action that we are going to see that is going to lead to the tragic events that are going to unfold. So in Act 1, we see some guardsmen that are patrolling around in the area. And they are unsettled. We have one that's been on guard for a couple of nights and seen what seems to be a ghost that appears briefly, doesn't say anything, and then vanishes. So they bring on a different guard to come and bear witness to this. And it is witnessed and recognized as bearing a strong likeness to a former king that has recently been deceased. We learn that this king is the father to the prince of Denmark, whose name is Hamlet. Now, the important thing really here to note is that this is a fresh wound that is going to be laying upon Hamlet's heart. It is a very recent event. And so, understandably, he is still going to be sorting through a lot of emotion and grieving over this loss that has come about. We go to Act 2, which is one of my personal favorite acts. I love this one. And here we are introduced to Hamlet, along with some of his friends. Okay. And we get a lot of personality in here. But we also get to see King Claudius and Gertrude, Hamlet's mother, as well as Polonius and Laertes, who are 2 other big characters. And we'll talk more about each of them in a little bit. But the center focus here is establishing 2 things. One, that Hamlet is very clearly still grieving and unexpectedly grieving over the death of his father. But that hot on the heels of that came a second event that is arguably shaking up as much, if not more, of this agonizing turmoil that is just brewing inside this young man. Because Claudius, who is king now, married his mother, Gertrude, upon the death of his father. And there are some lines, and I'm going to do a reading of the soliloquy in here a little bit later, because it is one of my favorites, and it is one that I have always loved. And it expresses that not only the relation between Claudius and his father, that they're kin, but that it happened like that. That one happened on the heels of the others. In fact, here in Act 1, Hamlet makes the jest. You know, one of his friends, well, I came to see your father's funeral. And Hamlet jibes back, surely you were here for the marriage instead. Because there was probably slightly exaggerated, but not by much. Hamlet says the very next day they were married. And a key consideration to think on here is that not only is this something that is a strong emotional thing, so it's going to understandably harm him because, while he probably wants to see his mother happy again, he also wants to see her actually mourning his father. And rushing into a marriage is not the sign of somebody in mourning. And without this marriage, so let's play hypotheticals here. Claudius doesn't marry Gertrude. So where's the succession? It would fall to him, to Hamlet. So instead of being a prince of Denmark, he would be a young king of Denmark. So this hasty marriage intervenes and takes the throne away from his head. And back in those days, odds are succession, if Claudius and Gertrude would have a male child, that would then bump Hamlet out of that line of succession. So not only is there the obvious there, but there's those deeper layers of political intrigue that are brewing in here. So we go to scene 3, which is a fun scene, where we get a little bit more characterization out of Polonius and Laertes, who is Polonius' son. And we are also introduced to Ophelia. And she is the love interest of young Hamlet. And Polonius is a bit of a windbag. He oftentimes seems to make commentary that leads you to believe that he might not be completely understanding everything that's going on. He's a little confused at times. And I think that displays a lot of Shakespeare's wit there to portray a character who in one breath can make really profound commentary and in the next can sound like he's just completely lost and doesn't even know where he's at the moment. But Laertes and Polonius are both imploring to Ophelia to treat Hamlet's affection for her as nothing more than a young man's fling, as nothing serious, that he couldn't possibly want to love you in a way that would be a lasting kind of thing. This is his season to be sowing wild oats, so to speak. And so don't become too attached. And that the best thing for you, in fact, would be to just stay away from him, to not return his affections, because they are not truth. So then we have scene 4, where the guardsmen confide to Hamlet that they have seen this specter, and they suspect it to be his father, and convince him that that night he should come and join them on the watch to be able to see and identify for sure that this is the ghost of his father. And in fact, he does identify pretty clearly that this is his father, which rolls right into scene 5, where Hamlet and his father, the ghost of his father, chat. And you can justifiably say that without the ghost, without his father's ghost, his intervention here, the tragedy that is going to unfold in the next acts would not have happened. Deep hurts are going to mend over time, potentially. But to then, the ghost confides to Hamlet that his death was not a mere accident, that in fact he was poisoned, and not just poisoned, but poisoned by his own brother, and gives the method of this poisoning, which the method of poisoning is going to come into play later on into the play, where poison was poured into his ear as he slept. A very, very bad poison. And makes Hamlet swear to avenge him and to have the others who have witnessed the ghost to swear that they will say nothing of what they have seen nor heard on this evening. And this sets up all of what is going to happen and unfold in the following acts. And it is magnificent because it introduces all of your main players in a slow and methodical way, and it gives you all of those deep undertones of here is what has happened. Here is why Hamlet is going to be acting and reacting in the way he's going to, and why you should have some empathy for this character. And so, as I promised, I'm going to attempt. We'll see how well it goes. It's been a long time since I've done one of these soliloquies off the cuff. So this is from Act 1, Scene 2 by Hamlet. Oh, that this too solid flesh would melt, thaw, and resolve itself into a dew, or that the everlasting had not fixed his cannon against self-slaughter. O God, O God! How weary, stale, flat, and unprofitable seem to me all the uses of this world. Fie on't, O fie! 'Tis an unweeded garden that grows to seed. Things rank and gross in nature possess it merely, that it should come to this, but 2 months dead. Nay, not so much, not 2, so excellent a king that was to this Hyperion to a satyr, so loving to my mother, that he might not beteem the winds of heaven visit her face too roughly. Heaven and earth, must I remember? Why, she would hang on him as if increase of appetite had grown by what it fed on. And yet, within a month? Let me not think on it. Frailty, thy name is woman. A little month or ere these shoes were old with which she followed my poor father's body. Like Niobe, all tears. Why she, even she! O God, a beast that wants a discourse of reason would have mourned longer. Married with mine uncle, my father's brother, but no more like my father than I to Hercules, within a month, ere yet the salt of most unrighteous tears had left the flushing in her galled eyes, she married. Oh, most wicked speed to post with such dexterity to incestuous sheets! It is not, nor it cannot come to good, but break my heart, for I must hold my tongue. So there you go. I will get to you later.